actively started building at the Megan McMaster property at the top of Wildwood Road. In both instances, the developer went to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and the Glen Williams Community Association was involved in both proceedings as party for one and participant for the other. I'll say now that this proposal is in complete disregard for the Glen Williams secondary plan. Next slide. I'd like to introduce the GWCA subcommittee members who are all on the call this evening. I'm Joan Griffin, and we have from the Glen Williams Community Association board members, Stephen Groom and Mike Brown, and the following Glen residents: Andrew Shields, Doug McLaughlin, and Don Robinson. Though many of you might know that Don moved away, he was for years past president of the Glen Williams Community Association and longtime lead of the development subcommittee, and we're happy to have him still helping us. Across this working group, we have an architect and 3 engineers who volunteered their time to dive into all of the many technical documents filed by the developer. In terms of an agenda, our goal tonight for the meeting is to share high-level observations from our initial review of the filed documents, to review the process and timeline that we understand is in front of us as provided by the town, to share suggested next steps based on our review to date, to share our ask of the community. We've had a number of residents reach out to us to ask how they can help, so we'll discuss that later in the presentation. At the end, we'll open the floor to questions or comments. If you could hold your questions or comments until the end, we will do our best to answer all of your questions at that time. And now I'd like to turn it over to Andrew.
Hearing on the new development on Confederation.
Could we ask everybody to mute their phones until we get to the question and answer period, please? Okay, so now I would like to turn it over to Andrew Shields. Andrew and his family are new residents to the Glen. We're thrilled to have him as a neighbor, and we're really happy to have his help on this committee. Over to you, Andrew.
Thanks, John. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Shields, and as John said, just a new resident to the area, but I'm an architect by trade. I've been involved in lots of these presentations.
I don't want to have dialogue. I don't know.
Somebody mute, please.
I don't know how her name comes up.
Please.
I'm in the Zoom and her
Mute,
name
please.
on the Zoom.
Dom, mute.
So I've looked at the application materials that have come in from a high level planning perspective. Look at the planning documents, and we've looked into or started looking at some of the technical requirements, technical documents that have come in. So I want to present some of our initial findings, and then we'll take it from there. And sorry, I've just realized that I've shared my screen here. Okay, let's go back to that. Okay, so as a high-level summary of the development, Eden Oak are proposing 81 townhomes units and 1 detached dwelling within this area, so 82 units in total. The proposal would have private condominium roadways, which we'll come to talk about a little bit later on. And the big takeaway right off the bat is they're looking at 21 units per hectare. The Glen Williams secondary plan allows for a maximum of 5 units per net residential hectare. So you can see right away, this is just a complete disregard for the plan, as Joan has pointed out earlier. The site is going to be broken into 5 different development blocks, with the residential infill happening on around 32% of the site. The remainder of the site will be done with restorative natural heritage works, which is a positive, but in our initial review, it does not come close to outweighing the negatives of the development side. Yeah. Here are the 5 blocks that the developer is proposing. Block number 1, the condominium development block. Then the main environmental block, block number 4. And then there are 3 other smaller blocks around, mainly relating to the laneway access into the site, which is owned by the developer in this case. And there's some seeded driveway access coming off of that form these different blocks. On the development block itself, this is the proposed architectural layout for the 81 condo units that are, let's say, crammed into the site. So in order to achieve this, the developer is applying for an official plan amendment and a rezoning application. The reason that they need an official plan amendment is because, as we stated, this plan does not conform with the Glen Williams secondary plan. And so the plan amendment that they are seeking is to allow the use of townhomes within the development. Townhomes are currently not an allowable use within Glen Williams. The secondary plan only permits detached dwelling units. And of course, the other large variance that they're looking for in terms of official plan amendment is going from 21 units per hectare up from the allowable 5 units per hectare. This is a 420% increase in the allowable density. So, micro lots, impacts on all our property values. This is not the appropriate plan for the Glen. Here's a summary of all the changes that they would be required to have from the in-place zoning that people must adhere to right now in the Glen. So we're subject to what's called Hamlet Residential 1 zoning. So the town of Halton Hills recognizes Glen Williams as a rural area, a rural settlement area, and it has the zoning definition called Hamlet Residential 1. So within that range, lot frontages are to be a minimum of 30 meters. They're proposing 7.2 meters, a 76% reduction. Minimum lot areas are to be 0.1 hectares if a lot is connected to municipal sewer and water.
Yeah.
In this case, they're looking at 0.02 hectares, 5 times reduction. Minimum required front yard stays the same as setbacks. This is now the setbacks we're talking about. Minimum required rear yard setbacks, 7.5 meters. They're proposing 4.2, 44% reduction. And you can see the same for a minimum required interior side yard setbacks and exterior side yard setbacks. So 34 and 64% reductions. And even the height, they're also looking for an increase in the maximum height, 4.5% increase in that as well. So increases across the board and in every single area. So we're talking about an increase in the maximum density for 420% increase from the 21 units per hectare to 5. We're talking about using townhomes as a building typology, which is not permitted in the plan. And we're talking about increasing every single one of these zoning requirements that are currently in place. So the town of Halton Hills has an official plan that governs how development should work within the whole town. It does say that they want residential intensification and that they want affordable housing. These are items that the developer seems to have picked up on. However, the town is very clear that it wants these developments in appropriate locations. Nowhere does it say that Glen Williams is an appropriate location for this level of residential intensification. In fact, it says the opposite, and that's why we have the Glen Williams secondary plan. The town's official plan also wants us to encourage the use of surplus public lands, again, in appropriate areas where these would be compatible with adjacent uses. Nothing that we've seen so far in this development application shows it to be compatible. Going through some of the further documents, we looked through the planning justification report, which is the main document that the developer's professional planner submits in support of the application. There's a few things we're going to highlight here that we've noted that in some cases are just flat out wrong. In other cases are very contradictory. And in our opinion, highlight the fact that the consultant really has very limited knowledge of the area, specifically of the Glen. And they've really written this report without any regard for having an understanding of the local context. So first off, the planning report makes a big deal about this 800-meter walkable area, which is a requirement that the province sets out, that they want things to be within this certain radius. They've clearly never been here and looked around, because there's not even a sidewalk on Confederation to walk down. So anywhere that's within an 800-meter radius, you can't really walk to particularly safely. They're citing areas like the school and the hamlet core as being walkable. Again, if you actually had been there and walked from where they're proposing the developments and followed the route, it's well over 800 meters. Other items such as they point out nearby development as examples of why this should be an acceptable thing. The report has 20 Ransom Street as being an example of townhouses within the area. 20 Ransom Street is in Acton. It's not even within the area. They then go on to say within the report, in their initial summary of the area, that the Glen is a unique area characterized by rural and agricultural areas, open spaces, and low single detached housing. Low density, sorry, single detached housing. I think we all agree that that is a fairly accurate description of the Glen. However, they then also claim that while the Glen Williams secondary plan does not permit the proposed built forms, the townhomes have been massed in a manner to match newer residential development within the area. Well, both of these statements can't exist at the same time. And they also need to provide these examples of where this exists, because we don't know where this example exists of a similar type of development. Transportation and parking. Again, this idea of it being a highly walkable active transportation area. There may be access into trails within the area, the existing trails. And there is a plan that the areas that are getting restored for natural heritage will be given to the town and to the Conservation Authority. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But outside of recreational trails, it's highly debatable that this could be considered a walkable site. And in our opinion, these claims are false, and that they're willing to generate far more car traffic than what is being suggested. They're providing parking spaces for 26 visitor parking spaces. Plus, they're providing a double car garage for every unit and a driveway that can accommodate a further 2 cars. So with all those cars that are now going to be there, 82, so you've got 164 resident uses plus another 26 parking spaces. However, they seem to think that this is only going to generate 49 new two-way automobile trips during the AM peak hours and 57 during the PM peak hours. Even at that is a large amount of additional cars to be added to the local road network. And those claims we need to look into further and to see where they're getting these numbers from. Another key aspect of the transportation and parking is that the roads that are proposed within the development, which will be private condominium roads owned by the future residents of the townhomes, are only 7.5 meters wide. The transportation report notes that the reason they're providing specific visitor parking spaces is that these roads are too narrow for cars to park on. If a car was to park on this road, an emergency vehicle could not fit past. We think that's a pretty important safety concern, and there's also huge questions there about how does that get policed? Who's going to be ensuring that no one's parking on streets so that there's going to be emergency access into the site? Okay, environmental protection is obviously a big part of this site, and the developer is making a big claim that there's a large portion of the site that is not going to be developed and will be restored through a restoration process. That is correct in a lot of ways, and it's good that we'd see that. There's areas that are the large areas that have got disturbed soil on the site. You can see within this map the areas. The plan is for all that to be restored. However, there's also large areas that are currently meet the definition of a woodland lot, which therefore should be a protected area from environmental reasons. That the developer will be removing these areas to put developments within. You can see on this map the laneway that comes into the site right now. All these orange squares that are around, these all meet the definition of a woodland lot. That would all be removed, as would this orange strip at the top here as well. So while there's a lot of restoration planned, there's also a lot of destruction planned as well. And we have a lot of questions about the environmental protection that the developer is proposing. As I said, we have concerns. We think the report is
He's a new fella. in
a
the
little
corner.
loose, and we'll dive into that further. Oh, I don't think I have your
Yeah, I
notes on this, but if you want to talk to this.
Andrew, I think you need to switch over to my deck.
Where's your sound on this?
I can't get it any higher. Don't muck about with it, Joe.
Maybe it's a good opportunity for the host to mute all those who are not talking. Thank you.
Where are we now?
Okay. John, do you have your deck to talk to those slides?
Sorry, did you talk to me just there, Andy?
No, I'm looking for. I thought John was going to put up
Okay,
the deck for the environmental slides.
I'm not, my computer was crashing, so I had to move over to Paul's computer.
Okay.
Do you,
I can talk to it if you want, Joe.
I'll have to send it to Andrew because this one isn't the most up to date. Andrew, I just sent you the deck, if you could share that one.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I continue to have the black lines of death going across my screen every few seconds, and so I fear that it has only moments to live this evening. And it just started like about an hour before the presentation.
A Zoom meeting about this new development they're proposing for the Glen with like 80 townhouses. Yes. Yep. Oh no.
If iPhone
Yeah,
9
I just got it.
could put folks on, if you could put yourself on mute. Thank you.
Thomas? Someone tell me if I'm on mute.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we
Thank
can
you.
all hear you.
Thank you.
Okay, here we are. Thank you for bearing with us with these technical glitches. Okay, as Andrew said, we do have a number of environmental concerns. So the environmental impact report stated the breeding birds and wildlife surveys completed June 11 and July 9, 2019. These could easily miss the mating periods for a number of birds, just going in on the 11th of June and the 9th of July. Further in their report, section 5 states April 1st until August 31st is the breeding season for most of the bird species protected under the Act. Pauline and Don Robinson have personally encountered a pair of pileated woodpeckers in a mating dance in the spring of 2022. These were found in the southeastern area of where townhouses are planned to be constructed. The report makes no mention or record of pileated woodpeckers, yet we believe them to be spotted frequently on the property to the east off of Tweedle Lane. The report states that there's no aquatic species at risk recorded on the subject land, states only a single spring peeper individual was heard calling in both 2019 and 2020, and only a single American toad was heard calling in 2020, apparently. It states that no suitable salamander habitat was identified and no salamanders or Jefferson salamanders were detected. In terms of reptiles, they only report of seeing one eastern garter snake in 2019. No observations of turtle species. And says they've stated that the reason for that is that there's a lack of suitable habitat. Report states that there are several barn swallows that were observed foraging during their visit. However, no nests were identified. If anyone has any pictures, any local residents have any pictures of the pileated or of anything that's mentioned here that they've seen on the property or any other wildlife, we would ask that you please send us those pictures because we will need them in order to present counter evidence.
I don't know if it's the right place to say this, but I have several times met snapper turtles along the side of the stream down in the valley of the Glen. The stream leads down to the river, and the path along the side of the stream, I have met varying, very large, one very large, and a couple of fairly medium-sized snapping turtles down there. They weren't pleased to see me.
Thank you, Anthea. Yes, and if you have pictures, please, anyone, if you don't have any and you are someone that is walking that property regularly still, take your cameras and anything that we can gather that is factual evidence to counter these claims would be helpful.
We've also seen several garter snakes throughout the summer.
Okay.
Is it only the species mentioned here? I mean, would any pictures of footprints in the snow of other wildlife count?
Well, this
or
time of the year, not going to see garter snakes, but
No, I mean,
this was
are
in the
they only-
summer on the rock.
Sorry, are they just interested in the species listed here, or what about other species?
No, Sandy, and anything that can help us to build a case of the activity of any type of wildlife in that area.
All right.
I tell you. Joan, one thing we may have to get clarified though with the town is the area that Auntie was describing where she saw turtles is not actually on this property. Their property ends before you go down into the valley.
Right, yeah.
So we can follow up and find out whether reporting that would be helpful though.
Okay, thank
I'd
you.
also
Bonnie.
like to add that in the ravine that's right on the side of where they're going to be building, there's a tremendous amount of ephemeral species. So there's a huge area of trout lilies and trilliums, and it's such a large area that I suspect those plants, that area there must be a couple 100 years old at least to have that volume of of ephemeral species there. So, even if it's not in the planting area, it's going to need to be protected,
Mhm.
and they should have some kind of plan in place to protect those areas. Make sure bulldozer doesn't send anything over the side of the ravine.
Yeah. So if we can capture pictures and get those sent in to us, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I'll
thank
have to wait till spring though.
you. I know. Yeah. All right. I'm going to send that back over to Andrew.
Okay, thanks, John. So I'm moving through some of the other details of the proposal. And a lot of these reports that have been sent in, there's been a large amount of engineering reports sent in, which we will need a lot more time to dig into and get some further reviews done. But at a high level at this point, we can talk about the functional servicing stormwater management that's being proposed. So they are proposing that the entire development would be serviced by existing municipal infrastructure. So that would be attaching or connecting to the sewer on Confederation, which is to be extended up Confederation to the development at 102, and they would extend it then further up the street to connect in to this development as well.
But they haven't put that sanitary sewer in yet.
That's correct. That's part of their proposal, is that would be extended up as part of the approval process for this
And that'll
development.
fuck up traffic too.
Stormwater would be controlled through the use of a underground stormwater management system. Again, we need to dig more into this and get them to provide more details, because there's potential concerns about an underground system. It's seeming meant to be a green stormwater tank that collects the storm runoff. It's all filtered into this tank, and then it's meant to be filtration layer at the bottom of the tank and naturally go into the groundwater. We need a lot more details to reassure everyone that is actually a viable system, particularly since the location of the tank has been pushed over close to the banks of the river. So we need to dig into that a lot further as well. As part of their submission, there was a well monitoring survey that was done. Maybe Dawn, I think you might want to talk to this a little bit more, but it appears that they're also looking. They're saying that any well within 500 meters of the property is to be decommissioned. And now we believe that they've not done enough due diligence with neighbors to go around and actually do these surveys of local wells. We already know of a few residents that have not had this done. So there seems to be a lot of gaps, a lot of holes in this part of the proposal as well that definitely needs to get dug into more.
Well, one comment I'd make, Andrew, is on prior surveys for 102 Confederation, the survey was done very badly. Basically, they walked around. If they could see a well out front, they would mark it down. If they didn't see anybody there, they'd leave a note at the door. When I followed up on that particular survey, I couldn't find one person along Tweedle who had any recollection of having something left at their door. Unfortunately, the way the world works, you think, oh, another piece of garbage mail, and throw it out. So I think that's one we're going to have to make them go back and do more work on that.
Yeah.
One of our team members, Stephen Groom, he has a well. It's not in use, except he uses it for watering. And he encountered the fellow doing the survey and said, oh, you got to decommission your well because it's not safe to drink. Well, he doesn't use it for drinking. So we were not sure whether they were saying you have to decommission the wells that are on that property, or are they talking about ones off the property? Steve Groom's well is not on that property. So we found those kind of surveys kind of questionable. It would be interesting if any of you could tell us who are within 500 meters of the property, did you receive a survey notice? We know that one lady who's just to the east of Tweedle Lane, she runs off a well there. She has no recollection of getting any survey.
Don, I have a well and we use it totally, drinking, everything. And the survey people came around and took samples to establish a baseline, but I never got any results. And I followed up because I want to know what the baseline is. And also Brad, just up there on Tweedle there, he's on a well as well. And they never got back to him with the results.
Okay.
And when you say decommission, are they going to then cover the cost of hooking people up to the city water? If they say you got to decommission the well?
Well, I know that normally if their construction makes your well inoperable or not providing enough water, then they have to do a hookup for you. But if it's just, in the case of Steve Grooms, they just told him, oh, you got to get rid of that well. Well, I know no reason why they should have to.
Well, I can't get rid of mine. I use it. I need it.
Yeah,
we will take this information back to the town and let them know. And if there's anyone else that has a well that they are using in one way or another, let us know if you did not get the survey.
Or in the case of Peter, he's saying he didn't get the survey results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the baseline.
Yeah, that'll be important to have. Okay.
And I followed up twice with the company that they hired to do the well survey and never got a result. And also Brad, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, up the road, same thing. He needs his well every day.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'll just touch quickly on the provincial planning statement, because unfortunately this is now the document that governs most of what happens in terms of development within the province. The provincial government is using a bit of a big stick to take powers away from municipalities and from residents associations, unfortunately. And the provincial planning statement, the PPS, which came out in 2024, is really the main focus of where the developer is trying to get their arguments from to get this development through. So the PPS wants growth and development, and it wants that to happen within existing settlement areas. The Town of Halton Hills official plan recognizes Glen Williams as being a agricultural rural area. Now the PPS has settlement areas and also has rural settlement areas. There is a difference between the two. We feel like the arguments being put forward by the developer are more geared towards a true settlement area and not a rural settlement area. But the main point here is that the PPS is a very powerful document, and it's what we're going to be fighting against the most. And unfortunately, it does take a lot of power away from other, from the municipality and from residents associations.
Okay, in terms of the process ahead of us, so this is the process that we understand is ahead of us as provided to us from town staff over the last couple of days. The town staff are currently reviewing all of the documents submitted by the developer. I believe that the town should be in a position to send their comments back to the developer in 3 to 4 weeks. Because the town received all of the documents from the developer on December the 17th, 2024. And all of the required documents, if you go down the checklist per se, were in the package. The town must use that date as accepting a completed package. It doesn't mean that those documents are any good, that they're complete, that they're not garbage. The way in which things have been sort of redefined by the government, as long as all of the documents are submitted, the town has to use that date as the date of a submitted completed package. So at this point, the town will send their comments back to Eden Oak in about 3 to 4 weeks. Those comments will also be posted on the town website. And the GWCA will also post those comments on our website if it's easier for you to navigate there to see them. This development committee will review those comments as well. The town is targeting a March or April council meeting that will serve as a statutory public meeting. The intent of that meeting is just to present the proposal to council and the public and to receive public feedback. No recommendations will be provided by staff, and council will not be making any decisions at this meeting. So the process after that public meeting is largely dictated by Eden Oak. If they submit updated materials back to the town that respond to the town's comments and the public's comments, town staff will review the updated submission and then go back with comments to Eden Oak. Eden Oak could review those comments and respond back, and we have a back and forth going with resubmissions. If Eden Oak submits multiple resubmissions, the town have indicated that they would not likely be in a position to bring a recommendation to council recommending refusal of this application or approval until sometime in 2026. Or, and this is an important or for us as residents, as of April 17th of this year, Eden Oak could go directly to the Ontario Land Tribunal if they anticipate that they will not receive a favorable decision from town or council. Thus, this would take any control of the application out of the town's hands. So if after the first return in 3 to 4 weeks of comments from the town, Eden Oak decides they don't like the flavor of the comments, as of April the 17th of this year, they could choose to go directly to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If Eden Oak appeals to the Ontario Land Tribunal, town council could do one of two things at that time. One of three things, sorry. They could direct staff to try and seek mediation. They can oppose the application, or they could not participate in a hearing at all. So that takes us to the next page. We need to refute these plans. We need experts to do that, or our community will be irreversibly damaged. If this goes through, more will follow. We have experience with this developer, and his previous behavior indicates that he is not willing to work with residents, and he has not demonstrated care for this hamlet. So in terms of suggested next steps as we see them, the development committee needs to continue with a deeper dive review of the documents, as Andrew has said. There are hundreds of pages to review across all of the files, including more than 25 different engineering reports. All of these warrant a deeper review, and in some cases, further investigations in order to confirm accuracy and thoroughness. We need to hire a professional planner and get a number of expert third-party reports completed, which requires hiring a groundwater expert, traffic engineer, civil engineer, just to name a few. We need to get started on this now in order to be ready to present to Town Council for the spring meeting, and also to be ready to submit our case to the Ontario Land Tribunal, which could potentially happen, as I mentioned, as early as April 17th of this year. If this gets approved, it would be precedent setting for the hamlet and allow more of the same in the future. So to pursue this with the intent to get the application changed from 81 townhomes to a much lesser density of single-family homes in the range of 25 to 30 homes, we need to start to hire these technical experts now. Also, the GWCA Development Committee will be ready to present at the town spring council meeting. So we do need your help to protect and preserve the hamlet at this time. A lot of residents have asked how you can help. I think we've already talked about in an earlier slide how you can help with getting us pictures of any of the wildlife, plants, birds, that you see, that you have, get those pictures to us, or if you can take pictures, we need those to provide counter evidence to what they've stated in all their reports as minimal findings on the property. The GWCA will publish an email template that states opposition to the application as filed, urging town staff and council to oppose it. This will be posted on our website next week. We ask all residents to please download this and send it in. Also, Carolyn Mull, a Glen resident, has taken the lead and drafted an email that's gone to the Premier and the Minister of Housing, urging that powers be given back to municipalities so that they can defend secondary plans. A lot of work has gone into our secondary plan. We also have Stewarttown that just got a secondary plan approved. Many residents participated in trying to get our secondary plan in place, and then the most recent revision that the town had passed as OPA 44. So we urge all residents to also send this email to the Premier and the Minister of Housing. The GWCA will post this template on our website next week, so it's available for you. We ask that all residents attend the spring town council meeting. We need to show up, we need to fill the chamber and demonstrate to council and to town staff that we collectively oppose this application as filed. We need to be ready to present our case at that meeting, and we need to be ready for the anticipated Ontario Land Tribunal proceedings. So as I mentioned, we will need technical expert third-party reports, including those of a professional planner and the different engineering reports. We need to get started on those now. All of this is going to take money, a minimum of $20,000 and possibly as much as $40,000. We're starting off with $8,000 through the generous donations made by several members of this development committee. As I mentioned, if this gets approved, it will be precedent setting for the hamlet, and it will allow more of the same in the future. So our ask of the community is this: if the community wants us to pursue this with the intent to get this application changed from 81 townhomes to a much lesser density of single-family homes in the range of 25 to 30 homes, we need funding, and it will need to come from the community. We can't register as a party for the OLT hearing without having technical expert witnesses and a development lawyer to represent us. So that range from 20 to 40 would include a development lawyer should this go to the OLT. We have tried it in the past when we, the GWCA went as a participant or as a party without technical experts and without a development lawyer, because there was no money at the time that the GWCA had. And we were unsuccessful in our attempt to have any impact. think that takes us to question and answer. I see that there's I'll just go first to the, there's a question in the chat. Where is the money going to come from? Was that just answered for you, Sandy? That
Well, it kind of, but I'm wondering, I mean, I know the GWCA is not a charity, right? It can't issue charitable tax receipts, I don't believe. Is that correct?
the GWCA is not a charity. We cannot
Okay.
issue tax receipts.
Okay.
So any donations that we get from the community to help us with this,
Right.
we would not be able to provide a tax receipt.
So I'm just sort of blue skying it here, but I mean, I know the town hall is a charity. I mean, can they fundraise on our behalf and issue tax receipts and then donate the money to GWCA? I mean, without having consulted them at all, it's just an idea off the top of my head. Is that something that's worth following up on?
That's a different board that manages the town hall building. They have their AGM coming up on January 26th, and so a new board will be elected.
Okay.
And so we would need to speak with that board if they would be interested in directing any of the fundraising money that they get toward this cause.
Or else collaborating so that, I mean, I don't know the legalities, but I'm just thinking, is it possible for them to collaborate so that they can do fundraising, issue tax receipts, and funnel the money to GWCA? If that's, I mean, that might be a better, might encourage more people to donate significant amounts of money. That's all I'm thinking. Anyway, just off the top of my head is something that's worth maybe thinking about.
Can I make a couple of comments?
Fundraising is an option. If the community wants to get together and do fundraising, that is something that can happen. We would need more help than the couple of people that are on this subcommittee. I just want to make sure I get the questions here from the chat, and then we'll go to the floor and take questions.
Yeah. That's good.
I've got, is there any indication how the town will respond in the next couple of weeks to Eden Oak? Would the town be doing their own technical evaluation? So there's two questions there. I don't have an answer from the town as to how they are going to respond and what the details of their issues list will be at this time. We've been connecting with them every couple of days, but they just weren't ready to comment. And they may not comment until they release them to Eden Oak and then share with us for legal reasons. But I do know that they have repeatedly told me that they continue to stand behind and defend the Glen Williams secondary plan.
Mm-hmm.
Would the town be doing, the town, I suspect, has their experts looking at the reports. I won't know until I speak with them if they feel that they need to have hire third-party experts to create technical expert reports. They have done it in the past when the developer had submitted less than satisfactory documents that were just full of errors and not realistic. And an example was when there was here at the top of credit when the developer had submitted one stormwater management pond design, and it was some of us residents who hired our experts and got technical reports to prove that would fail. The town also hired third-party experts to prove it would fail. And so we were able to take two reports that both said it would fail, and we got some traction, and we were able to get the stormwater management pond redesigned.
Joan, I'd like to make a quick comment if I could.
Uh-huh.
It's Don. You said we've had no success at the OLT. Well, in fact, though, I'll take McMaster Megan as an example. We worked
Oh yes,
closely
just not at that one.
No, yeah, okay. And on McMaster Megan, what we did is we took party status and we worked closely with the town's planning department to raise issues. They had similar issues in some cases. And we shared our concerns and thoughts and came up with a joint submission. And that won a number of points. So, but I think one of the challenges, and Joe, maybe you can answer this better than me because you've talked to the town. We've got the PPS, the provincial planning statement, as well as Bill 23, which seems to be putting doubt and concerns in the minds of all municipalities as to what they can do, what they can share. So we're going to have some discussions with the town planning staff and engineering staff to find out, can they work with us to at least investigate? And then we can figure out how we get our points into the OLT.
Can I make a couple of points, please, Joan? Phil
Yep.
Lewin here. As far as the town planning staff, for those who may have not dealt with them in the past, and I know that there are many who have, Halton Hills tends to hire newbies who only want to be here long enough to be able to go someplace else where they can get paid a little bit more, and tend to want to really stay out of trouble and sit on their hands. Secondly, when you hire experts, those experts make most of their money working for the development community. So they're happy to take your money. I'm not sure how much they'll really help you. And third and finally, set up a PayPal place for donations.
Yeah, we do have a PayPal place that's done. It's on the front page of the Glen Williams Community Association website. And in terms of hiring the third-party experts, when we did that, a group of residents over here in the Credit Street area, we hired our own lawyer, and we paid money for external experts. And then the town also hired a third party for those expert reports. They were recognized. Those reports were recognized, and that's how we were able to get the stormwater pond changed. Okay, I have a question from Justine that you please provide the name of the developer. All of the documents are posted on the Glen Williams Community Association. Justine, if you want to go there and download them, there's a section for 159 Confederation. And the Glen Williams website address is just glenwilliams.org. We've got a few people saying we need to collectively fundraise. Lynn Johansson has mentioned, and thank you for this, Lynn, that there are other letters that need to be sent, not just to the council, the premier, and the ministers. And Lynn's right. There are other agencies, and Lynn did a little bit of work on sort of researching and sent some information about the other agencies that we should also be writing to. So, Lynn, happy to have you, if you would like to kind of lead that charge, and then perhaps you share the templates across the broader community here, and then everyone would also have those. You and I can talk offline and talk more about that, if that's something that you could take on. Has the committee considered joining the Georgetown area committees to fight the intensification in Halton Hills, specifically around the GO station? We have not. We did have a representative go to the GO train station secondary plan, that area secondary plan meeting, but we have not considered joining the other groups.
And Joan, if I could just comment on that, I think we can say it partly because it's a workload issue. We, for those who haven't dug in yet, there's about 25 engineering reports on this one alone. And we have to be very cautious in how we use our resource, our time. A lot of work to do it right.
Yes, we're short on resources. Hands and money. Okay. Where's someone that was asking about schools? It just jumped on me here.
There was a
Um,
question, I think, about somebody said, what about the schools? Because our public school recently, our own school, is at capacity. And if you're going to bring in another 21 houses plus, you know, we don't have the capacity. I think that was the general idea of the question.
Yes, I don't know if it's worth us reaching out to the school board to ask what their thoughts are on this. I mean, every new development needs to, you know, communicate, I think, with the school boards and, you know, school boards, you usually see them have signs up to say, oh, your kids will be able to go to school if you buy here. Don't know how far away they're going to have to be trucked, but so that's something that we could potentially be investigating, so that we have more information. The last question here, if Glen Williams had a heritage designation, how would that affect any development proposals? Heritage designation would only be in the main street and area. I don't think, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that a designation for the hamlet, the whole of the hamlet as heritage designation will is something that happens or could happen. I don't know if
It
Mark
happened
Rose.
once and we were sabotaged.
Yeah,
I don't know if Mark Rose on the call to confirm
No, we
that.
tried it once and we were sabotaged. The perpetrators who ruined this are either dead or left town.
And so,
You need
can
to
you
get
just,
everybody on board to
Yeah.
create a heritage village. The whole hamlet has to be on board for it to be created as a heritage, which means there has to be a number of houses that are, or buildings that are of a certain heritage interest, and not too many that are not of interest to the general public. So it needs a number of people to be on board with it. I think probably we could get more, but then you get developments like the one at the corner of Wildwood and Beaver, and the one on just above Preston's on Confederation, that are way out of the usual standards. So I don't know whether creating a heritage village would actually work.
I suspect that would take quite some time, and this is imminent and upon us now. So,
I agree.
Sarah has asked, is anyone aware of the our Ward 2 councilors' positions, and can they help? So we have been in contact with them several times, and the last time was just, I think, yesterday or the day before. And they cannot publicly comment at this time about this application.
Why not?
And because of legal reasons,
Usual.
if this goes to the Ontario Land Tribunal, the concern, I think, is that anything that they say can be used against them. And so at this time, we have not heard from them. I do know, I can tell you, just in terms of the relationship we have with Jason and Joseph, that they are very supportive of the Glen Williams secondary plan. I do know several other counselors on council are as well. When this recommendation report, if it gets to a recommendation report at council, then at that time we will need to make sure that we've sort of done our work to reach out to the other counselors and ask our counselors to, if they can, ensure that other counselors vote in the right way. However, it may not get to that point. If you recall, if on April 17, the OLT, the developer takes this to the OLT, it won't matter. It'll be taken out of council's hands at that time. The decision council will need to make at that time is one of three decisions. Approve it, refuse it, that means get involved in the hearing or not get involved in a hearing at all. What we do know, and so you know, we may want to put some lean in on our mayor and council. What we do know is that the big Georgetown Vision, whatever it is, project, where there's going to be thousands of houses in that side of Georgetown South, that is eating up. That is a massive proceeding that is going on, and it is eating up a lot of legal counsel resources and time and staff time. And so we would be up against some of these things as well. So we would need to, you know, if this does go to the Ontario Land Tribunal, we would need to lean in on our council and mayor and ask them to please direct staff to fight this at the OLT.
Joan, if I could, one thing that has to be recognized is the way the whole voting process works. Like when the planners bring their final recommendation to council, the whole of council has to vote up or down on whether which path they want to go. And that's where we can have an influence by talking to our local councillors, but also Clark Somerville and some of the others. Because if you can get half or more voting to go the way we like, then at least we have a fighting chance. And to me, I think one of the tough things the town has got to decide is spending money. Just like we're saying, we need money. Well, they only have so much of a tax base. They got to decide where to put it. So we have to convince them that if this goes to the OLT, it is worth them putting up a decent fight. Because again, Joan has said it before, if we lose this one, we've lost the secondary plan effectively. Anything after that will be, I want to build townhouses. In areas where we thought, oh, that's good enough to build a big house, you'll end up with guys coming in and say, I'll just take that property and put 4 townhouses on it. And so it'll change the whole character of the Glen.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
work on your representatives and others, you know.
I just wanted to add, to me, you know, the big thing is traffic. I mean, how is that little road going to accommodate all those cars? How is our little village going to accommodate all these cars? Like, to me, that's the biggest issue of all, is how, I mean, the traffic studies are one thing, but we all understand these are like little country roads that don't have a lot of room to expand. This, to me, is the biggest concern of all.
And I did a count, and if from Wildwood North to Fallbrook Trail and back, just a rough count looking on Google Maps, there are only about 85 homes on both sides of the roads up and down, and they want to put that number of roads in one little pocket.
It doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Well,
when you think about 102 and the field, that's a huge number.
In the comments that we have developed so far, the working group, one of the things we pointed out is they say they're going to have, you know, a nice walking trail and a nice area to get down there, which is BS. I mean, as one you just pointed out, Sandy, the road is not even appropriate for the traffic we have now.
No,
the town has
no
put
way.
off doing anything to Confederation for years and years. They should not be able to put that amount of traffic down there without getting sidewalks at least.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
Would
so
video,
I do want to jump in with a comment there, and then I'm going to go take a couple more questions from the chat, and then we'll come back and take a couple questions from the floor. The developer from 102 Confederation on the left side, they gave $200,000 to the town for the build of a sidewalk on Confederation. However, the town has said that they're not going to put that in until after Bishop Court, which is further up, which is going to be starting soon, and 102 Confederation were done. And now we've got this one in addition right behind it. So we also have to, the development committee also has to start generating questions that are specific to the town staff as to their intent with some of these things. Are they going to then delay again the sidewalk until after The field is done. And so again, we have residents for several more years after that in danger. So we will be chasing that down with the town. Joan, will you post? Yes. So I will post the recording on the GWCA website, and I will also post the PowerPoint deck, and you can see our speaking notes. We'll leave them in.
There was a question, John, just on the width of the road and the laneway going in. I just wanted to touch on that quickly as well.
Go ahead. Yeah.
That is something that the working group identified as a serious concern, and we're certainly hopeful that the town staff will pick up on it as well. It's the reason why they're doing private condominium roads and not public roads, because these do not meet the requirements for it to be a public road. So that's why it's a private road system. And the fact that they're saying you can't park on the side because it's too narrow for emergency vehicles, there's a lot of concerns about that. Everything about the development just sort of highlights the fact that they are squeezing too much into a small space.
Yeah.
All things to all men without the room to do it.
We also will be investigating the slope, because there is a concern about the slope coming off of Confederation and down into the property. And some, all the current flooding that happens down there now. I do have two questions, one from Lori, comments from Lori, and one from Jeff about the pileated woodpeckers. It looks like Lori has seen them on her property, has them on her property. We just need evidence, like we need pictures, nests if possible, pictures of the birds there. That we can use as counter evidence, because they are saying that when they did their 1 hour walkabout, they didn't see any.
Which is absolutely ridiculous, but anyhow.
Right.
One hour.
Wearing dark glasses.
We have a question about what is the timeline needed for funding? Is a GoFundMe an option? GoFundMe is an option, or people can just donate on the PayPal that's already set up and linked to the bank account, which is on the Glen Williams Community Association website. I would say the timeline for the funding will be graduated. We need money now. We need some startup money now, because we would like to get the professional planner and the first few technical experts hired, so that they can start working on the reports, because we need to have those ready to take to the spring town council meeting. So we do need startup money now. I'm not a...
Lois has got a hand up.
Go ahead, Lois, while I find the next questions we have not answered. Lois?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I can hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I don't believe, first of all, I don't live in Glen Williams, but my son does. And his kids go to Glen School, and I'm there three or four times a week in the Glen. But I believe that the entire town of Halton Hills will be up in arms about this. And I believe, I wrote the tagline, small town living at its best, and which the town has been lots of committees. But people value all the separate areas of our town. Like, I live near Balnafad, but it's, I think anybody who lives here, who's ever been to the Glen, loves it and doesn't want to see this spoiled. And if our tagline is small town living at its best, you're going to cram a whole pile of people in a very small area for no reason other than for somebody to make some bucks. I mean, this is a treasure. Glen Williams is, like Elora or other very special places, and we can't I believe the whole town should, and I think people will send money in too. I believe people that don't live in the Glen will send money to, you know, to try and stop this because it's just so wrong.
So am I interpreting, Lois, you're saying we should broaden our request?
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
broader in the town?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm happy to write.
We can't hear you. Oh, we lost you. Lois.
Lois, we can't hear
Okay.
you.
You're on mute.
Okay, whatever. I'm not good at this stuff.
You are
Can you hear me?
muted.
Now you're good.
Can
Okay.
you hear me
Now
now?
we can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we can.
I would offer my services to make do a draft of something that addresses to the whole town, and you know, to do with our community of communities. And this is a slippery slope. If everybody is, I think everybody in town loves the Glen. If they don't, they haven't been there. And so let's get more money in, more people involved, more letters being written, more everything. And, you know, I will write a press release, I'll put it through your board or whatever, I'll go to the papers.
Agree.
And I think that this is a real shit sandwich that they're trying to get us to eat.
Yes, it is. And thank you for that, Lois. We will certainly take you up on all of that. Thank you. Okay. That Justine is asking for a traffic assessment. Yes, there's like a 113-page traffic impact study. I will, that one is not posted on the GWCA website. We have 5 of the key documents posted, but we can post that one there. If where's my pal Sandy?
Yes, I just put it on the chat. I put the link.
Okay. So we'll be getting these up. Wonder if you of Waterloo students would like to take this on as a project. Oh yeah, if anyone knows anybody there, and can reach out to them, absolutely. Good idea.
Can you clarify that a bit better? Because I didn't hear the beginning of your sentence.
Pardon?
Can you clarify that a bit? Because I didn't hear the beginning of what you were saying.
There was a question that said, can University of Waterloo students help us with this, take it on as a project? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. The town has a history. It's all in the minutes on their websites. I'll major that hired experts will make a difference. I guess there's some folks here feeling like perhaps Miss Divine hired expert lawyers, etc. The town disregarded those. I don't know if anyone wants to elaborate on that situation. I don't know those details. Okay. We heard from Phil. Someone is suggesting there's 200 people on this call. If each person donated $200, would give us our 40,000. I like that idea. Okay, we have someone here. We live in the Upper Glen and have been fighting the developer Eden Oak on the Megan Master project for 10 years plus. We took photos and sent documents to both the town and the CVC about endangered species bobolink bird.
Bobolink. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eden Oak is putting 32 homes on 17 acres with large water. We were told if we wanted sewer, we would have to pay $35,000 to be hooked up. We've had no success as the development does not fit the secondary plan of the Glen. Disregard for wildlife. Lori, did you want to just summarize your concern here and share that with us? Maybe we can help if you still need help, or figure out how we might learn from this. Lori on the call, if you like talking. Okay, maybe not. Okay.
Joan,
Okay, Lynn has asked if we thought about SELA. I don't know who they are. Lynn, are you on the call still? Can you?
You just posted something.
Maybe
Okay.
Environmental Law Association.
Okay. So that's something we can look into.
Of course, if one observation, if Doug calls an election, we know what to do, don't we?
yeah.
Yeah, that's an important one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, on that note, Joan, we talked earlier about you're going to make some letters available for people to send to the politicians.
Yeah.
In those discussions, we were being kind of narrow in a way. So just as we said, we should broaden the money request to a wider audience. I think we should do the same thing, make those letters available to the whole Georgetown community, get them all piling in their votes.
Yep.
And against a certain individual.
Yeah. So I will send out another GWCA newsletter. If there's anyone on this call that does not receive the Glen Williams Community Association newsletter, I send it out most months, twice a month. And some months, if there's not much happening, once a month. This year's going to be a busy year because it's also the Glen 200, it's the Glen's 200th birthday. So we're going to have lots of newsletters going out. In my next newsletter, I can, I will reiterate and ask the community for their help in sending these letters out to all of these different agencies, etc. And I will let folks, I'll put the link there directly to each of the templates. So you would just click on the link and then it'll open up to the template. It'll be very easy for you. We do have over a distribution list of over 900 people. There are many people outside the Glen on our newsletter, so hopefully that will help broaden our reach there too. And we can work with Lois to coordinate those articles and things, and ask and put the template links in those for example as well.
Joan?
Justine has her hand up. Where's Justine?
I don't see it, Justine.
Hi, sorry, my muscles just gave in. I couldn't hold on to my raised hand.
No worries.
I wanted to, so I asked the question about the traffic report. I'm really interested because I really find it appalling how Confederation or Mountain View and Confederation just became a racetrack. Not just the volume, but just the speed. So the lack of enforcement, and I'm seeing actually a lot of cars heading the way north of that kind of Preston intersection. So I'm interested to see how the impact of all these additional homes has on the current traffic, because that's really a kind of a way between Brampton and Guelph. Like, it's a busy place, and I'm new to Glen Williams, and I have never thought that this was the experience in a small town village. But really, the question that not a question, but really maybe just an option of how to kind of move forward with this. I do understand that we are just about to celebrate 200 years of Glen Williams. And is this an opportunity to just kind of leverage that for the historical value, for the setting, for the village environment? And I mean, for that reason, many of us have decided to move out of the bigger cities and come to Glen Williams so we can enjoy the nature, the small community, the trails and the nature. So I'm just really looking for any hooks that we can find to really fight this development. I'm not opposed development and I'm not opposed intensification, but it's got to be done smart. It has to fit the setting, the community, and have respect for the nature and environment. I am really thrilled to see so many comments on the environmental protection and really sustainability and maintaining the village, again, the setting. So I'm like energized and really willing to fight with all the energy I have. So yeah, let's
Yeah, that's a great idea.
do it.
Yeah, even if we have at the events they're planning, like a table to fundraise, right? Something as simple as that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a matter of I mean, we have Family Day coming up. I'm not sure if Glen Williams has any kind of events happening around that time, but it's just any opportunity we have to either collect the funds required for some assistance or in terms of resources and expert advice or guidance. Yeah, I mean, the sky is the limit, really. And I think that we are all seeing through the federal, some provincial level kind of backpedaling on, intensification and bringing all these people in and not having the infrastructure in place. And now we are panicking because we have to build and we have to accommodate. But it's like, hello, we've been here for a while. Well, sorry, not me, but you've been here for a while. So that has to be respected.
Yeah, I think as Andrew, had said a number of times through the presentation, the hamlet is not built to accommodate what they're looking at trying to do here. And none of us are anti-development. I mean, I shouldn't speak for everyone, but on our committee, we'll say that. But we are about smart development and respecting the natural features and characters of the hamlet and looking for, as much of that being integrated into that so that we don't lose what we have or that hamlet, way of life. So, so thank you for your passion around that, Justine.
Joan.
Yes, Mark.
Yeah, it's Mike and Denny Brown. Just another thought that we came up with, and I think we may have mentioned it before, is maybe accessing the press around Halton Hills today, and any opportunity to get a brief interview in or something in, because to Don's point about expanding the scope of this and getting it to a broader exposure in the town of Halton Hills. Halton Hills today is a pretty good vehicle to do so. I don't know if we want to think on something like that.
For sure. They usually follow our newsletter and often reach out. And so that there is a communication channel there so we can reach out to them and feed them the sort of this sketch of a story that we'd like them to run for us. Lois.
Could I make a comment?
Lois, you're on mute.
Okay, I took it off again.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, wait.
Okay,
go ahead, Wayne, and then we'll go back to Lois.
I would think when this first started, that Glen Wellings and they put together a proposal that was about 30 some odd homes in there. And of course, I think we objected to that. We've had a number of meetings with them to try to increase that to around maybe 25 with a smaller lot. And I think the biggest problem in this is how do you effectively fight the density of the homes? With 81 homes there, you somehow need some kind of a strategy to fight against that. And it all comes down to the economics of the thing and how much money the developer is going to make off of it. And that's probably the toughest thing, I think, to fight. If you look at other developments, even in the Garrison Village, I thought that would be like a perfect thing in there. I don't know how many homes are in there, but I really don't have the answer to it, but a lot of effort. I think once you decide how many homes can go in there, you know, the engineering and the environmental and all of that can be looked after. But the toughest part is finding a way to affect that density of those homes. 81 homes doesn't fit there, and how can you prove that it doesn't fit there?
Yeah.
Be a
Yes.
tough job.
Well, I think there are a number of arguments you know that we can pull out of the documents that we've seen, and we covered some of those tonight. But additionally, it is our goal to go with an alternative recommended plan. So we just don't have that ready to show the group today. This will not be our last connect with the community on this. And so we felt strongly that we would need to have something else. We can't just go back and point out all of the ways that this doesn't align within the secondary plan. We felt we had to go beyond that and also show an alternative design. So that is another big undertaking for us as well. Well,
The undertaking has to be economical to the developer to make them interested in doing it. And that's
Well, I think it's a really interesting point, a really good point you're making about the economics behind it. The reality is that the reason that they're switching to townhomes is because of the economic times that we're in right now, and they think that that's the way they can get their money out, because it's expensive to build and it's you know, expensive to buy houses, and so that's why they're going this way. They have put a lot of emphasis in their planning report that they're providing a type of housing typology that's not currently available within the Glen, and they think this is a good thing because this aligns with the province's plan, and that they are providing smaller housing than typically would be provided. Therefore, it will be more affordable. You know, there's a lot of you can question the economics there as well, because you know they say in the report that these are going to be around 2,400 square feet. You know, so you know, even if you apply in sort of $800 a square foot, which is what which arguably be more than that, you know, these are still going to be $2 million homes. So to try and use the economic argument of it being more affordable development, I think is a little bogus. But your point is very valid. The economics around this is important.
Using gas.
Just for Wayne's benefit, Wayne, you and I have worked together. We saw that first plan that was submitted by Eden Oak for this property. And in my recollection, it was about 34 homes.
Yeah.
But have you seen any of the reports yet that he's filed with this application?
I've went through the plans and that. I haven't read all the reports, no.
Okay, well, I think the driving force for him, you're right, it's all about money, is when he put in the original plan about 5 years ago for 34 homes, he was assuming to use the whole property. When they were required to go in and do a proper study of hydrology, et cetera, they discovered they can only use 33%, 32% of that land for housing. So that made him go, well, I still want to make the same amount of money. So how can I do that?
Yeah.
For the pile of townhomes. So back to Joan's point,
Does he know that?
we're going to kind of come up with something to discuss. Is there a way we can get something that might get close to what the developer needs? He wants money, let's face it, and yet still protect the Glen. We're gonna have to work on it. It wouldn't be, I'd love to have your input on this too. By the way, those who don't know, Wayne was one of the architects of the Glen Williams secondary plan. So he's got a bit of a history here.
There is a question.
Hopefully I'll be back by April and hopefully get to that meeting.
All right, Wayne. There is a question from someone asking where would they send photos and videos of wildlife, and that would go to the Glen Williams CA at gmail.com email. If someone can type that in the chat for me, glenwilliamsca@gmail.com. And I'm just missed
Joan,
any.
along that line, I'd just like to raise one point. I mean, the ideal pictures, you've mentioned several times, people can get pictures, etc., of the wildlife, it would be valuable. Now, ideally, they would be pictures on the property. However, I think I've got some pictures, others probably got others, showing, for example, pileated woodpeckers in the immediate area. Okay, not right on that property because I couldn't capture those two scampy birds that were in there one day. So I would not discourage people sending pictures in that are, as long as you can identify this was, you know, down the road on Tweedle or whatever, they can still have value.
Yep. There is a question that says, I hope any alternative design is vetted with Glen residents. Yes, absolutely. Full transparency, we will share. We will call more meetings. We'll you know, check in with residents if the Zoom works, if we keep doing this, if it doesn't work, do we rent a space? But we will be sharing with you at every step of the way and asking for your input. We might want to consider selling merch to raise funds.
Garage sale.
Glen is on ground. Oh, since Glen is on groundwater source, is there capacity to meet this extra demand, or is the plan to eventually connect Glen Williams to Lake Ontario? Andrew, Don?
Well, I don't think it would be the Glen. If the water's going to come up, it's going to serve the whole of Georgetown. But I'm not aware of any plan at this point.
Joan, if I can speak.
Derek?
Yeah, since the region switched Georgetown South over to lake water this past fall, everyone south of Silver Creek is now on lake water. Everyone north is still on the groundwater. So this has freed up development allotments massively. So developers are no longer restricted by water allotments as they were up to this year. So development is just, it's a free for all in terms of any water restrictions. So there's no worry about not having enough water.
You said everything south of
South of Hungry Hollow, south of Silver Creek.
Oh, okay. I was thinking further up. Okay.
Yeah, everything south of there is now on lake water, and everywhere south of there, all their sewer is now going to Milton. Even though the sewage treatment plant is right there beside them, it's all being flowed down to Milton.
Okay. I have something here that says, can we create a big sign, a billboard, drawing the attention to the community's opposition and get that put up somewhere? So lots of ideas are coming in here. Appreciate it. Community knowledge should not be ignored. No expert will have this under their belt. Absolutely don't want to ignore community knowledge. So again, we need help. And we need people's knowledge, we need people's hands, we need people's money. And so if you're so inclined on any one of those, please just write to the GWCA and let us know how you feel you can help. We will bring you into the fold because we need as much help as we can get. Lois, go ahead.
I'd like to think about Joni Mitchell's song.
I can't find it.
Joni Mitchell's song is you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And, you know, so that is, I'd like to do some creative things that will catch people's imaginations or sing, you know, change some words to it. But, you know, this is a slippery slope for all the communities, whether it's Limehouse or Balnafad or whatever. But yeah. So I think that I think that everybody who lives in all of Halton Hills, unless they've just moved here, everybody knows about Glen Williams and how beautiful it is and how wonderful it is and how it is a village, and it is, you can't get that back. I'm just like, yeah, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. We know, the people that go there and live there, but I think we've got to do some logical stuff, and but I also think we need to do some emotional stuff, and you know, rally the people who really care about our town, period.
Brilliant idea. Love it. Love it.
We got some very talented musical groups here in town.
Joan, I think Sandy Gillens has got a tremendous idea here that needs to be looked at. Her comments right there.
Where's that? Right at the bottom?
Creating a fundraising committee for this purpose.
Is there anyone interested in being on a fundraising committee?
Nope.
Don't
we'll send you
trample us
some
on the
money.
way.
If that's
Happy to
easier,
spend money, but no,
if that's easier, we'll take it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, always the issue is like the number of hands that are actually doing the work, and I know everyone's really passionate here, and I think money is probably the most critical issue right now. And Father Aaron has kindly offered to, well, Russell and Carolyn have offered to help with a fundraising concert, and Father Aaron has offered the community, the church hall for meetings. But I mean,
I'm
if we've
just
got
seeing
some
that now.
warm,
Yes.
yeah, if we've got
Right.
some warm bodies here who are willing to get involved in actually doing some fundraising and getting that money raised quickly. So, you know, let's do it, man. I mean, if you can sign up, you know, if you want to send me an email and with your names, I'd be happy to pull that together. If that's okay with you, Joan. I don't know if I'm, yeah, I don't know if I'm out of line saying that, but
Not
yeah,
at
I
all.
mean, yeah, you know, let's get a meeting going on people who really want to, you know, just
Prior
really,
Aaron or Oriar from South St.
yeah,
Albans, and
who want to dig in and get some money,
we
get
need a
some money
monthly meeting
raised.
place. St. Albans
So,
will be rent free for the group. Yes.
here's my email address, and if you would like to be on a fundraising committee, send me an email and I'll organize a meeting and we'll get some concrete strategies going. But if you want to be in the committee, we need hands to actually do stuff, like really get in there and do stuff, and we need to put our you know, we've really got to get us stuck in on this and do the work, and so we need
Well,
the people who want to do it.
I see that Russell Braun and Carolyn Mull have offered to help with a concert, and if that would be awesome. If anyone knows either one of them and their talents, just spectacular there. And thank you to Father Aaron for offering a free hall. That's wonderful. Because I do have about a handful of residents that said that they just, you know, don't do Zoom. And so asking if we were going to meet face to face as well. So if we have a free place to go, that gives us an option to try to, you know, cater to everyone's needs that way. Is Lori still waiting to talk? I see a note here.
Yes, Lori is.
Okay, go ahead, Lori.
Thank you. I had trouble with my microphone. That's why I couldn't respond. So I was frantically trying to text in the group chat. So I actually live in the old Divine's home and talked to the only the living relative of Geraldine Divine, and she fought the town. She owned that property on Megan McMaster, the 17 acres, and she wanted to build 8 2-acre homes on specialized septic tanks because there's a certain chemical in the ground that exists there that needs special care. And she hired a geologist, a lawyer, environmentalist, all these experts, and paid them. And she spent well over $100,000. And the town just said, no, you can put 6 in there. And for her as the landowner, she wanted to keep things in sync with the secondary plan of the Glen, which was roughly at that time 2 acres in that area of Megan and McMaster. And the town said no. And so she sold the land to Eden Oak, unfortunate for us. And Eden Oak went to the town and they said, we want to put 10. And they said, you can put 12. And that was way back when. And now we've gone from no, you can only put 6 to now there's going to be 32 in a crammed space. And we took the time. We knew someone who was in Environment Canada at the Ontario level, and we sent pictures and we sent documents, and to no avail. And it was just really heartbreaking at the crickets that we received, all puns intended. It was a no-win situation, and we went to all the town hall meetings. We went to all the meetings that the town organized with the developer. We went to meetings, I believe, at Wayne's house on McMaster. Like, we did all we could to fight and express our concerns and gave in written documents, and the developer basically took all that information and then nothing. So, you know, pretty disheartening. And I hear the passion and the excitement about fighting this developer. But Eden Oak, like when we spoke to Jason Brass at the last open house, he was like, look, all they have to do is go to the OLT and our hands are tied. We can't do anything. The town can't do anything. Nobody can do anything. And so, you know, I just want to put that out there, is if we're going to fundraise and we're going to do as much as we can to hire expert, are we going to be in a situation that Geraldine was in, where it just gets dismissed because they have their own experts? And I think somebody in the chat already said is they always hire newbies, so they don't have the history. They don't know the knowledge. They don't have the background.
I think there's a big difference between one person petitioning and a whole community petitioning.
Well, there was a lot of people petitioning for the Eden Oak, and Drew Leverett was the person in charge of the Glen Williams Community Association, and there was a ton of work that went into that. And here we are. They already have started excavating.
Are you suggesting we give up?
No, I'm not suggesting that you give up. I did not say those words. I'm just saying that,
I think we need more media coverage. Get the word. Look at what happened when they started trying to develop the green belt, and like CTV news coverage got onto it. And you know, Doug Ford was just constantly being bombarded with, you know, negative. I know we're not as big as that, but people were all around Ontario were getting on Doug Ford because of that, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I also think it might have been a generalization that may have come across to say that, you know, the town couldn't do anything, the councillors couldn't do anything when it goes to the OLT. They can do things. When it goes to the OLT, they can present a case. They can present a case that needs to be presented. And if required, they can hire third-party experts, and we can do the same to fight it in the most effective way and have the most impact. And we get a development lawyer.
For those who haven't been involved in the OLT proceedings or any of these other developments, you have to realize the town does attain a lawyer. They have a firm they use every time they go to the OLT. But when you go into these things, depending on how hard you want to fight, and I'm not talking us, I'm talking even the town, you have to decide how much money you're willing to spend. And I think that's one thing we're going to have to pressure our own local politicians on, is this is worth spending more than your normal amount of money. Because if we lose this, we have lost the Glen, basically, and with its environment. And they need their votes from us to stay in their jobs. So I think we should, I'm not going to say to anybody it's going to be an easy fight. These are never easy. But it's worth the fight. But just realize we can't guarantee success.
It's worth the fight.
Work hard, all of us.
Before we take another question, I just wanted to. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say it's just to reiterate Don's comments. it's worth the fight because this one is so far outside of what the secondary plan envisages. Like it doesn't even come close. There's not one part of it where you can say, well, okay, at least it's doing that. We're giving up this, but there's nothing that this is in line with. And to Don's point, if this one goes through, it's open season on any piece of land that's left in the Glen.
Yeah. On that note, I do want to say thank you, Beaumont Mill. I just see in the chat here that they're willing to donate $1,000. So
Wow.
thank you. Thank you so much. That takes us to 9,000 as we try to get some leverage to start getting some of these reports started.
Joan, I just want to make a quick reminder to you, because you were educating me the other day. We've got events planned, one every month, and a big one in September because of the 200th anniversary. Somebody made a suggestion earlier, I can't remember who, that we should use every opportunity to solicit money. Those would be good opportunities. Get the right signs in place, etc. Put them up every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can have a donation bucket out at every one of the events.
Can you clarify the timeline for the money that's required? I mean, there was mention about April. We need to have expert representatives in April, if I understood that correctly, which means we'd need to hire someone fairly quickly, wouldn't we, in order for them to be up to speed? So what's the timeline? How much money do we need to get, at least started with this?
I don't know if they'll get started without full payment. They might want some partial payment to get started. We do have a call coming up with a professional planner on Friday that a couple of the committee members are scoping out. Friday, that's
So how much do we need and when?
We don't know that answer yet.
Okay.
But
so is that 40,000? Is that for this April?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
That will be if we need to hire. That range of money will be if we're hiring a development lawyer, we will need to go to that number. But it will take some time to get to the place where we need to get ready to present at a hearing, because the OLT is backed up. So it won't be, it won't be weeks. It'll probably be late in the year or early 2026 that we might be in front of a hearing. But in order for us to get chosen, get accepted as a party, we have to send in our submission, our case. We have to make our case as to why we're opposing this. And we have to send in as much documentation as possible at that time in order to ensure that we get chosen to be registered as party. So we don't have time to lose. We've got to start.
Lois got a hand up.
Lois, go ahead.
You're muted, Lois.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lois?
You're muted.
Muted. Oh, but it says mute.
Okay, that was good. We can hear you now.
Now you did it again.
Now you've gone off again.
The whole mute. Okay, I'll hold on to it. The 200th anniversary of the Glen, and yeah, we're all going to buy stuff. Why don't we suggest like a 200 club where somebody, like people from anywhere in town who appreciate Glen Williams, that we want to keep the village or the community as it, to protect the community. And it would be like, why don't we ask people for $200? I know we said it in jest earlier, but $200, but there's people that You know,
Great idea. Great idea.
$200 for the Glen, like
Great idea.
200.
Skip one drinking session.
I love it. It's catchy. I love it. Yeah, it's a great idea. The 200 Club. Yeah.
Yeah, a 200 club. And anyway, when somebody was talking about, okay, they're gonna do this one, and then this is gonna fall, and this is gonna fall, and this is gonna fall. It brought to mind, for me, it's like dominoes. You know, Glen Williams, that this is a bigger issue than just, you know, but like I say, everybody loves the Glen. Like that's the, you know, it's a super place that everybody, there's only the people that live there and the people that wish they lived there. It's true. I've been a Glen wannabe my whole life, so I went to Limehouse and then the Balafat.
I have some, there, it's catching on already. Somewhat Barb wants to be a member of the 200 Club. Sign me up, she says.
Yeah, me too.
We got our first donation there. All
Yep.
right.
Me too. I'll donate. Yeah. But
Russell Gray is one of our committee members, and he is donating 3,000. He was one of the gentlemen that last night before we ended our very late prep call threw it on the table. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Russell. If people want to write a check, who do they make it out to, and where does it go?
So if they want to write a check, they would need to make it out to the Glen Williams Community Association, and we will create a subcategory for all of the payments. Just put on the check for the field development, and we will get Kate to create a sub, and all of that money will go there, will be protected. And or if you're donating through PayPal, anything that goes through PayPal will go directly to the field development fight.
Okay. Does your bank account take direct deposits, e-transfers?
No, unfortunately.
No, okay.
We have
That's okay.
the cheapest not-for-profit package. Can only write 6 checks a year. Okay. Oh, Matt Kimbom. Thank you, Matt. Avi, thank you. Look at them rolling in. This is wonderful. This is wonderful. Lynn, I want to go back to one of Lynn's comments, because you said it would be ideal to have someone with climate expertise as well inputting here. Is that a role that you can play, Lynn? I know you've got some experience there, or would someone else be better suited to do that? If you're on, you can let me know, or I can follow up with you if you've left us. No, you're overbooked. Okay. All right. Do you know anybody else in the area? You could send their name my way. Are there any other questions? Because I know it's we've passed 9 o'clock, and I don't want to keep people too late. We will go through all of the chats to make sure we didn't miss anything and get back to folks. We'll do a summary of ideas that were captured and put them back to the community. Sandy and I talk all the time. I think she's like my left hand or my right hand most of the time. Sandy is the lead on helping us with all the gardens that we've put in at the Sheila La Parquette. And she helps with the GWCA website. So we'll figure out how to get the fundraising committee going. One last question. Is anyone aware of an environmentalist who can do an independent assessment of the area? I have been following the folks of the Credit Preservation Group, have been instrumental in opposing the mega quarry in Caledon. Maybe they have someone. Good thought, Kristen. Thank you. Yeah.
Is the April date for the developer to go to the Ontario development? What's it called?
Ontario Land Tribunal.
Yeah. Is that a hard date? They have to do it on that date, or is it just a date that they can start, and any time after that they can make that
That-
decision.
Yeah, that's the first date they could go.
Okay.
Someone asked if the CVC would be a good partner. We have not, there have been, there have been a lot of comments in the reports of work that they've done for these reports for the developer. And I think that we would need to, and what we've done in the past is we've challenged the CVC to say, hey, you reported this in the reports, and we have counter evidence, factual evidence of something different. And so we were able to, in doing that up here at the top of credit, my neighbors, the Irvins, had pictures of wildlife and I think potentially a rare bird, and we had other neighbors that did some work and documented what they saw. We were able to save a swash of the buffer of the forested area because everything was going to be clear cut. And so the CVC, we just had to do the work, and we had to go back to the CVC and say, there, see, and force them to really pay attention and really be thorough, much more thorough with what their reviews were showing. So
Joan, I was going to ask a question of, is Matt Kinbaum online still?
I don't know. He did put a question in earlier.
Okay, he's put in a donation, I believe. Is that right?
Oh yeah, Matt. Yep, sign me up for the 200 Club.
Okay. Well, the reason I wanted to ask is because I know Matt used to go up. Well, two things. The environmental study report, if I recall right, said they didn't find any aquatic species up there. But I know Matt used to go up there looking for salamanders, which I think would fall in that category. So I'll follow up with Matt to say, has he got pictures, records, etc.
I know Ramona. I saw Ramona and her Ramona. There you are.
Okay.
And Kim. I know Kim. You traverse that area a lot, and you're a photographer, a naturalist photographer. I think I've heard. Is there anything that you've captured that you think you could send our way?
Well, I'll jump in here. It's Matt. Sorry, you can tell I'm having problems by using my phone, so it's not even pointing at me. Yes, I think I have pictures of the salamanders up there. I will send them.
Okay, wonderful.
Great,
Thank
Matt.
you. Thank you, Matt. And I think Kim just came in frame.
You're on mute, Kim.
Just looking for the switch.
There you go.
Yeah, so I can't think of anything directly that we have. We'd have to go back through old photographs and stuff like that, but no, there's not. Ramona's thinking here.
The snapping turtles, we've had them walk through the property.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, sorry, probably don't have too much that we could add regarding pictures or stuff like that.
I live across the street from where they say 159, where 159 would actually be if it was the address, because it's actually south of where it would fit in with the numbers, if you know what I mean. And I have a picture of a salamander on my property, and I'm literally across the street from there. So I will send that in.
Good.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Let me see what I missed here. Note 2 that a letter should go to the Ontario Auditor General's office and Ombuds office. So we'll add those to the list, Lynn. And Lynn, can you do me a favor? Because you're better at this than me. Can you just give me 1 or 2 sentences? Like, what would the key message, just 1 or 2 sentences, key message there, and then we can just to remind me what are, because for each one of them, there's a different main point we want to make. And then we can flesh out from there if you have a minute. Gathering support from other regional conservation organizations might be beneficial. Okay, so we'll gather all these comments up. Any last burning questions that you didn't get to ask that you would like to?
So did you see that the Schnells have thrown in $1,000?
No, I missed it. I'm trying. There's so many comments. I'm trying to go up and down.
Yeah. Sign
Oh
up
my
the Snells for $1,000.
Well, you don't have the money yet.
I know where they live. Yeah, so they can either I can get a check, or they go to the PayPal on the main page of main screen of our website, glenwilliams.org, and go through PayPal. Wonderful. I can't thank you all enough for it's been a long day for folks putting in a 2-hour call like this at the end of the day, and for all your engagement, for your ideas, the brainstorming. I mean, I just saw this chat thing just going, it was on fire. And then for all of the donations. I don't know what I was expecting, but this is wonderful. So thank you.
Joan, thank you for all the time and energy you're pouring into this constantly. So I'm glad we're here now to support you as best we can, but you have been a rock in this community, in the background and in all these committees. And I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. Thank you. I stand on the shoulders of many little teams here across the groups. So I wouldn't want to live anywhere else, honestly. Feel blessed. So we have a fight ahead of us, and I think we're ramped up, and we've got a couple of different tracks that we're going to be going down at the same time. We're going to summarize all this and get back to everybody. Yeah. And did I miss Andrew, my team? Did I miss anything that needs to be said? Russell, Mike, Stephen, Don?
No, I think you've done a great job, Joan. I
Doug?
don't think anybody mentioned that a non-resident also donated $2,000.
Wow. Who is that?
Mr. Robinson.
Oh, he's a resident.
They threw me out.
Resident for life.
Thank you, Dawn. And Pauline.
Well done, Russell.
I think we're well above $10,000 now.
We are.
We are. We have a starting point. We can start making calls and start hiring people.
Excellent.
Get to work. Yeah. And our team is going to continue our deep dive as well. So stay tuned for those template letters on our website next week. And then we also want to sort of keep on the radar of residents to please go in and send them, because if every resident sends those letters, that's a big hit. That that those agencies and folks are receiving as well. So I might type up something that shows the parallel streams, because we'll have 3 or 4 different parallel streams kind of all attacking this at the same time, and Lois's stream and as well. So